picture this. Like, oh wait, Kristen, I want you to be part of this.
Oh,
Kristen, picture this.
Okay.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Okay.
You know what I could do is actually do like the solo shot where it's just your giant face on the screen
So rude.
while your eyes are closed, but I won't.
Okay.
And by the way, listener, if you're a podcast listener and you're driving, open your eyes. Everyone else, keep your eyes shut. Kristen, close your eyes.
Okay.
It's a Friday night. It's about 7:30 p.m.
Okay.
It's 88 degrees outside with about 95% humidity.
Gag.
You're sitting outside facing west,
Oh my.
and the sun is beating down your face and parts, like the rest of your parts too, but primarily your face and your eye holes and the eyes themselves. Kristen, open your eyes. This is my Friday night tonight. I'm going to my daughter as a cheerleader. I'm going to watch her cheer at a football game, and I'm going to be staring dead west in a hot, blazing August sun here in central Indiana. And I love my daughter more than just about anything in the world. Rice Krispie treats, and then I love Time, and then Ollie. But man, Kristen, I've been dreading what I'm going to be doing here in about 9 hours pretty badly.
Yeah, I don't blame you. There's something about being uncomfortable, just like physically uncomfortable, that I have no patience for. I struggle.
So here's my thought process. I'm going through what fabrics can handle that level of heat. I don't know I've not checked the wind yet, but it'll be a hot wind like you're driving through Kansas. Hello, Andy. Hello, Danza. I'm thinking about what hat do I wear? I have 2 pairs of sunglasses, one for darker conditions, one for lighter conditions, because that's the stage of man that I am. So I'll have to wear the darker. Why are you laughing? That's not a joke.
I know it's not a joke, but I thought it was funny. I don't.
By the way, I have entered a new stage in a relationship with my wife, and I need you to tell me whether this is a good thing or a bad thing.
Okay.
Okay. So we go on a date last Saturday night.
Oh.
Yeah, it was promising to be great. And on the way there, I said, as you know, what do you think you're going to have tonight? And she said, I don't know. I haven't looked at the menu.
What?
And this is literally every time we go out. And I say, well, I have. And then what has happened in the last, it could be months, could be years. It turns out that I have accidentally began to start to memorize menus and the accoutrement with the dish. And I asked her if she had any questions. I was describing that, like I've set a place in my brain where I'm memorizing menus, including sauces and sides. And I'm doing this, and she's like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know, but this feels impressive. And she was like, this is the opposite of impressive. It makes me not want to be here in this moment. Then I thought to myself, what if the server asks, do you have any questions? And I retort, do you? Because I'm right. And then I sort of brought that up. That wasn't tracking. The night went fine, though.
Yeah, but see, I'm not the best person to ask because I am the same. Like if we go somewhere new, my person will be like, I haven't looked at the menu, which is the least relatable thing you could say to me. And then I'll say, well, I did, and I think that you're going to have the fish or whatever it is. And then he spitefully gets not that. But
we know exactly what he gets.
What?
It's a big steak.
No, not at a restaurant.
Oh, that's right, because he could make the steak himself.
Correct, yes.
He could harvest the steak himself.
As you say, yes.
But that's what you say in the cattle industry, don't you?
I don't
process.
But I'm not in the cattle industry. I'm just adjacent, I feel.
E and I are.
Yeah?
Yeah. I have a pocket knife today.
Wow.
I almost poked myself. I was over at the old office, because we had to turn in the keys today for the old office. And I found a relic of which blew my mind. Kristen, you know me well enough to know that I have a cold, dead heart as it relates to my career specifically.
Valid.
right? Like I just, whatever. However, that dead heart was thawed today when I opened a file cabinet and found the original Pete the Planner business plan from 2006.
Stop.
And I want to note, I'm holding this on the screen. I want to go full screen here for those that are watching. By the way, if you're listening to the podcast, please just go to YouTube and watch the show back. It's more, you get to look at my bald head. Confidential. Look at that original logo.
Confidential's in red, by the way, for those not on the visual.
Well, it's in red. Okay, but Kristen, I want to read to you. I'm going to blow your mind.
Okay.
Blow your mind.
I am so prepared.
This is the mission statement of Pete the Planner, or whatever that was. I also know there's no registered trademark at this time.
Nice.
I'm going to read it to you, and you tell me what comes to mind. There's two things that should come to mind.
Okay.
The mission of Pete the Planner is to become the premier money coaching firm in the state.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm going to call it TO right there.
Okay.
Okay, we've done that. I mean, that was pretty easy.
Done.
Done, Peter. Done. Like that's done. I mean, that ship had sailed a long time ago. Okay, we will redefine what it means to help people financially. We will encourage people to grow wealth by managing their income more effectively. We will discourage penny pinching, but instead promote financial awareness. We will be a leader in the community and help develop a financial curriculum for school-aged children. Never mind that. Pete the Planner will become the young, fun, and preeminent voice of proper cash flow management in the nation.
You are neither young nor fun.
Right. And that's where this really goes off the rails. I will also note the first sentence says premier money coaching firm in the state. The last sentence says the preeminent voice in the nation. So from 4 sentences, I go from top in the state to top in the nation. And that's an ambitious 28-year-old getting loose with a new logo.
Oh, my word. So can I ask what part of any of that needed to be confidential in bold red font?
Well, there are some numbers as we get deeper into this. The funny thing is that it's so there's some pricing numbers of what I would charge clients at the time. There's also like marketing swag. Like I spent like 2 pages on if I buy people journals for $10 each, how does that scale? And it's like,
how does that scale?
I don't know. Oh man.
I mean, honestly, when you consider this was what year?
2006. How old were you?
I don't know. 12?
Great. I mean, not weird at all. Yeah.
That's awesome. Confidential. Where was this? Where'd you find it?
In a filing cabinet.
Was it locked?
It was filed. You know what? For as confidential as a document as this is, the security apparatus that I employed, not great.
Got it.
Again, I don't really care about the past too much. However, this makes me happy. I'm actually going to frame it.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it made me feel nice.
The logo could use some work, but
easy. Okay, let's do what are we here for? Let's just do the first question that came in and see what happens.
Okay.
Oh, Dame's not here. Dame. Oh, welcome Dame to the show. The podcast listener, like everyone watching knows, but Dame's not here today. He's having his Super Bowl this weekend.
Yeah, and when we look at the engagement heat map of the podcast, and at 9 minutes, there's a drop off because we finally acknowledge the fact that Damon's not here.
As we're going to learn through this show today, Kristen, you and I this will be our 4th show. I did air quotes for those not watching the stream. 4th show together this week.
Correct.
How sick are you of this?
Pretty sick of it, honestly.
I will note yesterday's show.
Yeah.
At one point, we were just like finishing each other's sentences, tossing each other softballs. Like it actually got pretty cute, Yesterday's
show, I feel like, was pretty good.
Oh, man. All right. Rick Swink says he's here for the Inside Baseball and podcast engagement metrics.
I feel like Rick's making fun of us.
Probably. Hi, Andy. Top 1% podcast was not in the plans because a podcast didn't exist when I wrote the business plan. A different story, different time. All right, let's play the feud in 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. Email us at askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's askpete@petetheplanner.com. And after 15 years or so, I almost forgot our email address for the show. And by our, that is a plural pronoun, which includes Kristen Elanius. Hello, Kristen.
Hello, Pete.
For those that are listening on their radio device, you can always go to YouTube, Pete the Planner page, and watch this show.
Mm-hmm.
You get extras. You get show extras. Like, subscribe, and comment. I don't know. Kristen, this...
Subscribe.
What? I don't know. Make sure you click the bell to get alerts for when the show comes out. Kristen, this is a radio show, though, and we answer financial questions, and people email us questions, and I've got one to share with you. Dear Kristen and Co., my spouse and I recently inherited some money. Is this the question from last week?
No, read the next sentence.
Don't worry, Pete. We're happy to disclose the amount. Okay, exactly. Did that person email us back?
No, I don't think so. They were probably so upset that you spent the whole show making fun of them that they're never going to talk to us.
I wasn't making fun of them. It's $50,000 cash, and we're trying to figure out the best way to use the money. Kristen, I love these questions.
Yeah.
Because here's what's I've not read the question. But here's what we're likely to see. We're going to see these people have some debts.
Mm-hmm.
They have some level of savings. They probably have some bad habits. And then we're going to see if this $50,000 can shift any of that. Okay, so let's continue. Oh, look at me. We have about $20,000 in credit card debt. Mostly my spouse's from before we got married. Maybe they can hire a tow truck to back the bus off of her spouse that she just threw under the... I can't tell if it's a man or a woman. 2 cars with balances of $15,000 and $20,000 and a small emergency fund. I also have $20,000 in federal student loans with a low interest rate. We both work and make about $150,000 a year combined. I'm leaning towards using the inheritance to pay off my student loans since that's my debt, but my spouse thinks we should tackle the credit card debt first. What do you think is the best approach? Boy, oh boy.
Boy, oh boy.
Man, I honestly could talk about this the entire show. I really could
too, because there's so much that's here that is unsaid. And I feel like we have to just start with the most concerning thing, which is that you got married knowing that you had credit card debt, but now want to use the inheritance for your student loans. I think we're navigating a minefield here.
Okay, let's start. We're going to get there. We're going to get to interest rates. They're going to be a big part of this.
Yeah.
We're going to get to cash flow. We're going to get to emergency fund. But let's take a brief stop off at what should an inheritance do or not do? Like
Okay.
You get an inheritance. Let's assume they have no tax implications of that inheritance. It just makes it for a cleaner idea here. Kristen, is taking your inheritance on the surface and doing something practical, like improving your net worth, is that generally a good idea?
Yeah, I think it's generally a good idea to use those funds to improve the household financial wellness.
I ask that because let's say this exact same situation is happening, and the question becomes, we would like to use the money to buy a boat or a camper. So they've got the reality, and then they want to, instead adding to their balance sheet, they want to, well, I mean, some people put their RV on a balance sheet, but normal humans don't. These people actually are committed to improving their net worth, and I actually like that.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Is they're not saying that maybe the inheritance was from a parent and you and I have heard it. If we've heard it once, we've heard it 1,000 times. Mom or dad would have wanted us to, and then that is justification to not use the dollars to improve their net worth or their power percentage.
Correct. All right. So where do you want to go here? Do you want to go his and her debts, if that is the case, or do you want to go interest rates? Like, which way to go?
Well, I mean, I feel like interest rates, just because that is what makes like this particular type of scenario so difficult is it's pretty likely that the credit card debt is at 23 or more percent interest. And that's why it makes it so hard to argue against doing anything else with the dollars, because getting out from under an unsecured debt at that rate is just so hard.
So the interest on that approaches $5,000 a year,
Yeah.
right? I thought it was curious that the proposed solution from the emailer was wipe out what we believe to be the lowest interest rate on here,
Right.
which is a hot take, and arguably a terrible idea. We know what this person does for a living. Are they are they in the nonprofit world by any chance?
Yeah, one could only hope. But I would say what's so weird about student loans is that some people, in my experience, just have, because of the way that we collectively speak about student loans, they don't fully understand the obligation. Perhaps they don't know exactly how much they borrowed, and as a result, when they have an opportunity to eliminate them, they just want to get rid of them. Credit card debt is an easier thing to see or to understand. Student loans is so complicated. I think maybe that's part of what's driving this decision.
So I'm just doing some math because even though it's Friday,
Mm,
I've still got a little bit of math, and I'm dangling by a thread as I'm starting to do in my head. The reason I'm really going here because I'm still doing the math. It's not happening
awesome.
quick. They have, I believe, $75,000 worth of debt
Mm,
as shown here. 20 in the credit card, 20 in a student loan, 20 in a car, and 15 in a car. I believe that's 75
yeah.
and $50,000 to use. Kristen, all debts are not created equal.
No.
Let's ignore these people for a second. Don't ever emails. Let's ignore these people. And you've got 3 debts.
Mhm.
And we can make up the details of them if you want, but they're the 3 debts and they're all 20 grand. One's a student loan, one's a credit card, one's a car payment. With that information only, and make whatever assumptions you want to make about it, which one do you pay off first?
The credit card.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one do you pay off second?
The car.
Right. And what's the absolute last thing you would do?
It's the federal student loan.
Okay. So right on the surface, the idea of what the person wanted to do is if there's a good, better, best, it's the good. And you've ignored the better and the best.
Yeah.
I don't want, I mean, but here's the thing. It is also, while it might be good and not better and best, it is also a bad idea. That's the funny part about it, right?
Yeah, but okay, so let me kind of throw something that I feel like I've encountered more often, because car payments, dollar amounts per month, have increased so much in the last 5 years. The average monthly car payment, or the median, is like, I want to say it's in the $700 range. I could be wrong. But when we talk about monthly dollars that are being put toward an obligation, that's likely the best opportunity to free cash flow month over month, is to eliminate one of the car payments.
I know later in the show, we're going to talk about money and relationships a little bit. But with this thing, and as Andy in our live stream points out, Kristen, she points out that you're right. This is a mine and yours thing, because I want to know how long these people have been married. I
Mhm.
want to know what their financial situation was for their families at adolescence. Like, I want to know these things, because what I'm seeing is your debts, we should obviously pay off. My debts, we obviously shouldn't pay off. So let's pay off my debts. Like that's where we stand
Yeah.
right now. So let's do this. Let's take a break. We're gonna come back. There's a lot more here. There's a tremendous amount more here. So we will talk about that. And then in our third segment, we are going to talk about money and relationships. Kristen and I have been talking about it all week long, and we are excited to share that with you. All that's next here on Kristen and Co., aka the Pete the Planner Show. That's one of my better outros of the year. I gotta say,
That was pretty good.
lots of people checking in today. I don't want to ignore anyone. It occurred to me this week. You know who I've not said hi to on the show in a really long time? The one and only Danza DeLuna.
I know. I feel like it has been a long time.
So, Danza, I'm sorry. It's good to see you. and I'm sorry I've not shouted you out here recently. I really thought about that this week. Andy, hello. Hello, Tom, Big Rick, Rochelle. Rochelle, I believe, commented on the fact that I wore a hat to the football game last week that I said I was going to. Dan, the man, hello. No, I saw the Rev. Sarah Renfro come in. Chris, hello. And then our buddy Lee. There we go. Oh, more people. Jay Con. Oh, more people. Here we go. It's great. Fun times. Okay.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Lee. CFP and Pete. That's a good name for the show.
Hilarious.
How's you've lived a week now with your certified financial planner designation about?
Yeah, it has been a week. I paid the fee and posted about it a week ago today.
Great. I still don't have one, but what I do have is a business plan from 2006. Hey, Jordan, good to see you. All right. The advisement philosophy. You ready for this?
So prepared for this.
Okay, but like, Kristen, I read this today.
Okay. And you thought, I got to take this to Ben.
I thought about this. I thought about like, hey, this is like one of the rocks for the quarter here. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Pete the Planner. I love the sort of the third person, like ambiguity here. Is you just going like, Peter Dodd is explicitly. Okay. I love my adverbs too. I had a big adverb problem in 2006.
You did. And up until it was like 3 years ago when somebody said something like those who use adverbs.
My wife.
As I was.
Yeah.
She insulted you.
No, I know. Yeah. That's what I said. It was my wife. Pete the Planner is explicitly committed to hold individuals and small corporations accountable to their financial goals. We believe that coaching people financially is best achieved through the formation of strong relationships built on trust and true understanding. I'm going to call a time out on myself. What is true understanding? Like, it's just like, I feel like I was trying to hit a word limit for my English teacher.
Right.
We communicate frequently with our clients, not for the purpose of selling products, but for the purpose of reaching their financial goals. We are committed to positively changing the lives of our clients on an ongoing basis. Kristen, I mean, again, like I feel pretty proud. Like we're pretty close there.
Yeah, especially that was almost 20 years ago.
Said that way, yes. Andy asked if I could explain the logo. I will try my best. Andy. So I had a friend who is a graphic designer, and she came up with all sorts of interesting designs. And I said, those are great and all, but what if there's like a person who's kind of wearing glasses, but within the eye is a dollar sign. So in the eye ball, there's a dollar sign. So it's a man's face, but it's a puzzle piece, and then it just says in all lowercase because that felt cool at the time, possibly in Comic Sans, Pete the Planner. It's embarrassing. Hey, Jason. Oh, Rick, that's something. All right. Let's continue on this godforsaken show.
Please. I have a lot to do today, Jeremiah.
Really?
I do. Look at my calendar.
Why?
There's a lot on it.
You know what? Jason is so right. It looks like the Finder logo for the Mac.
It does.
Oh my gosh. Oh, trademark. Steve Jobs come back to get me.
You're in trouble now.
Heather says it looks like my profile. But I would need like an eye on the side of my head. I don't know. Oh, I love you guys. This is always a good time here. All right. You think Dame's not listening right now, right?
Heavens no.
He is in a asphalt parking lot baking right now.
Already.
Baking. Here's what I know about Dame. He's wearing jeans too.
Oh, 100%. Yes, he is.
Baking. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show, answering a phenomenal question. Sorry, I don't know. We got a question. Someone got 20 or 50 grand in an inheritance. They got $20,000 in student loans, $20,000 in credit card debt. They have $20,000 on a car loan and $15,000 on a car loan. And Kristen, as we're talking about this, it's a marital situation. For the sake of brevity, we will say there is a his and there is a her. And I'm just going to assign a gender to the email or two just to make this easier. Do you have a guess of I think it's a her emailer.
I kind of get that vibe as well. And I don't know what it is. It's just you read enough emails that you start to pick up on little things. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely. So the question is, what do you do with the $50,000 when you have $75,000 in debt in a small emergency fund? Kristen, here's where I'm nervous. There's clearly a level of payments that are being made every month to address and to carry this debt. For the sake of giggles, let's guess. All right, so car loans. Do you want to go 400 to 500 each? What do you want to do?
I bet they're at least that much at their income level. If that's my point, is like the more people make, the more expensive their car is that they drive and the longer they finance it, just generically speaking.
Let's go $1,000 a month for transportation.
Okay.
The credit card debt at 20 grand. What are you thinking? Minimum payments on that 1,000 or 1,600 or less?
I bet it's less than that.
Like 700-800?
Geez. Let's be generous and say that's what they're putting toward it. Yeah.
Okay, let's go 700. Trying to be somewhat conservative here. And then the student loans, $20,000. You just want to say 300?
Yeah.
Okay, so $2,000 of cash flow is up for grabs.
Yeah.
They can't actually take out all $2,000. They can't recapture $2,000 right now. They just can't. So one way to look at it is, what is the best combination of recapturing cash flow? Like, I love that idea. But here's the biggest concern of all. If they've not changed their habits, whatever they do will make their situation worse.
100%.
And that's what scares me a lot.
Yeah, we have a winner in that statement, which is something that we see literally all the time in our work, is this, to use one of Pete's favorite phrases, this money is a false exhale.
Oh, yeah, I used to say that.
You say that all the time. It's like, this is a false exhale. It's like, oh, we have this money to eliminate these obligations, but have we addressed any of the underlying concerns here? We're not talking about money, clearly, because they're not on the same page about what to just do with these dollars. We don't know the reality of the credit card debt situation. Maybe they've been making really great progress on it. I tend to doubt it, but I don't know. I think it's a false exhale.
Back in the day when there was a business called Pete the Planner Money Coaching, circa mid-2000s, this is the advice I would give to a situation like this. I would say, actually, I'm not going to say, because then I have to say exact words like I'm talking to someone. But Kristen, here's the sort of advice I would give. I would try to structure a way in which the person's current income is more efficiently used to work towards a debt paydown goal, and then come over the top rope with a chunk of the inheritance to reward the changed behavior after 6 to 9 months. From a interest standpoint, not a great idea. Even getting 5% in a money market with that 50 grand and paying 23% on the credit card, you actually will be worse off from an interest standpoint. So it's not good technical advice, but it's incredible realistic advice that takes advantage and into account human nature by saying, okay, look, if you get this $20,000 in credit card debt without using the inheritance down to $12,000 9 months from now, whatever, and we're trying to make sure they're not putting money back on it, then go ahead and wipe the rest out with inheritance. What do you think about that?
I think that's interesting. My concern is someone who maybe isn't in the best position from a cash flow management perspective. This money might just start to dwindle away, even though we might have goals for it if we have access to it.
You're talking about the inheritance?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can address that.
By what? Putting it in a separate bank that you have to walk into to get the money?
Now I just pulled the strings of you. I know exactly what to do. Kristen, that's exactly what you do. You put it into a money market account or of some sort, getting 5% interest, and you don't have it connected to your checking account.
While I don't hate that idea, I think I might have a better one.
I don't doubt that. What is it?
Here's kind of where I'm at. I feel like if I'm forced to give someone advice without having all the details in the situation, I say do two things. You fill up the emergency fund, you pay off the credit card debt with the inheritance. You keep, let's just assume then that that means they have to keep the car payments and the federal student loans. And then you have lost your privileges of being credit card people.
Can I give you an alternative approach?
I guess.
What if, what if you fill up your emergency fund,
Okay.
whatever that means? It just seemed to sound cute, so I wanted to do it. Then you pay off the car loans, and now you've captured $1,000 a month as opposed to $700 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and you use that additional $1,000 a month on top of whatever payment you're paying to the credit card. So you pay it down faster because there's more fuel to do so. Whereas if you did the reverse, where if you just paid off the credit card debt, now there's $700 that you freed up, but there's actually no job for it because you didn't mention there's a job for it. I think if we're trying to build momentum, that would be the better way to go.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that in either of those scenarios that you and I just proposed, I think we have to go on a little hiatus of credit card usage. I think they've proven that they are not credit card people. And I'm not saying that that has to be kind of permanently attached to their personal financial reality. But until we can really set up full emergency funds and things like that, I think the credit card use has to go.
In the words of Ben Battaglia,
Mhm.
100%.
Oh my.
You know, on our other shows we did this week, Kristen, you got on 100% streak.
What?
Yeah. Oh, you said 100% 2 or 3 times.
Great.
I love it. Oh, I love it. It was great. I felt like, wow, this is fun. All right, Kristen. Again, final thing we'll say about this one. There's still a pretty deep-seated his/her situation going on here. Yours, mine. It happens. It happens. And I'm trying to choose my words. I don't know the dynamics of their relationship. Maybe there's a small feeling that it might not last. I
Could
don't
be.
know. And so therefore there's some prudence to mine and his. And so I want to be careful with like hardcore advice we give there, because if the person really senses this is a temporary relationship,
Sure.
then yeah, paying off his $20,000 in credit card debt, probably not the best idea.
That's true. And I think something else that's really common in these dynamics is, especially if the inheritance came from a parent, if it was from a parent who really pushed, like, this is my money for my kids, that could be trickling down into the next generation as well.
You know, I don't feel like we talk about that enough.
Ugh.
This is that when you're in a relationship or marriage and your partners gets an inheritance,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't even know the word. I didn't want to go with kindness or prudence. Maybe and practicality. Like I think the non-bloodline person
Mm-hmm.
should step back. Should just be like, hey, we can make the. Let me know if you want to talk about it. Like I feel like they have less of a call to the money. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm not going to say I agree with it, but I hear what you're
Ooh,
saying.
let's do that coming back because we got plenty
Okay.
of time.
Okay.
Coming up after the break, Kristen's going to tell me why I'm wrong. Again, that person, I'm Pete the Planner. Oh my gosh. This is going to be amazing.
I hope. Too bad Dame's not here, because I feel like Dame and I argue a lot more lately.
Really?
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, we were about the net worth thing. We were really like at odds.
Do you know Dame would agree with me on this one?
Oh, yeah.
He and I, when it comes to this stuff, we disagree on pretty much nothing.
That's true.
We have a whole other category that's fun. This we don't disagree on.
I know.
Yeah, I'm curious. We'll save it for the show, right? As they say.
Save it for the show.
I'm curious as to what you're gonna say. Let's just. Oh my God! Let's just get. Do you like that? Okay.
Interesting.
What is that? What's wrong with you?
I'm not saying 100% anymore.
Listen back.
I don't want to.
I told you this before. Like when I would do a lot of TV, I started watching them back, and I'd go. Someone would ask me, absolutely. Every time anyone said anything, absolutely.
I actually think that one I picked up from you and Dame. When I first started working here, I listened to the Beat the Planner show a lot just to get a vibe
Yeah.
for the work culture, I guess. And which in hindsight was a choice. And and I'm known to do that, to pick up little catchphrases from other people. And then I got into an absolutely run myself. I think I picked it up from listening to the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben around here, he'll hit you with a for sure. And he'll
Yes.
hit you with 100%.
Mhm.
And or if he's saving time, he'll go 100p.
Wow.
Because like one time he said to me, I was like, "What are you gonna do with all the time you save from not saying or send?"
Yeah, everybody on our exec team has little catchphrases. Molly likes the nuance. Doug likes the Bitcoin, you know.
This is not a place you want to work if you are sensitive to having people tease you.
Absolutely not.
No, which is arguably a terrible culture, but I love it. The
Right.
more people make fun of me, the better this place gets.
Yeah. We probably have Slacks waiting for us already, actually.
I'm not gonna look. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show. So before the break, I said, and I barely got the words out. It was sort of embarrassing. I said something to the effect of, "Listen, I'm gonna if my wife inherits money from her family, her bloodline, her kin.
Right.
I don't know. It's getting weird. I feel an obligation to kind of stay out of it. Like I will talk when asked, talked when talked to, but I don't feel like you come over the top. It's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go buy his and her jet skis. I'm gonna get hair plugs. Like I feel like if your spouse gets an inheritance, I think you got to get in the passenger seat. And you said you disagree, and that I'm a dumb man. Go.
I said neither of those things.
You did say you disagree.
I said I kind of disagree, I believe is what I said.
Okay.
But we talk all the time on this show about having a plan and knowing where your next dollar goes. And we just criticized that couple last week endlessly for not knowing what to do with an inheritance. And by we, I mostly mean you. And you couldn't believe that they didn't know what to do with the dollar. So why isn't it a household discussion? Because if you inherit funds that you weren't expecting, shouldn't the household already know the best use of those dollars?
Okay, I might be arguing against myself here, but look, it's common. Like as you're talking about last week's email, I want you to know what's going through my head.
Okay.
I don't remember that. Okay, so I don't. Here's an idea.
Okay.
We do not live in a perfect world, and you are well aware of this. Okay?
Well,
I think it's the right thing to do to let the other person's preference in a vacuum lie with them and them alone. However, the danger could be, well, this is my parents. I want to buy a new Corvette, right? Like that would be bad. And I could say, yeah, that's not a great idea. That's not going to actually help us. But part of me would be like, well, it is your money. It's not like it's not like the money goes to Peter and Mrs. Planner. In that situation, the money goes to Mrs. Planner. It's not my money. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy here. Quite possible.
I don't disagree with that, but are the household finances ours or yours?
I don't know. I mean, they're ours, but I just feel, I don't know. This is a really interesting discussion. Or turns out maybe it's not. And people are like, shut your lips, Baldy.
But
I think it's interesting.
I think it's interesting as well, because I think what becomes a challenge for couples that are faced with decisions surrounding financial decisions to make or surrounding inheritance is that the previous generation tends to want to have control, or like those of that generation. So
I'm in
like
that generation. I'm
siblings.
older than you.
No, I mean, like, so let's say, like, m if I inherited funds from my dad, I feel like either my dad or my sister might have more or want to have more control over those dollars than, like, my person. Because it's like, this was dad's money.
Yeah, that's what
Well, it's
I
not
feel like.
anymore,
That's what I feel like. That's what I'm saying.
but it's not anymore, it's my money now.
Okay, well, that's a different point.
And for me and my household, like we already have goals. That's my point is like the string of the emotional weight of the inheritance to me, as soon as the name on the account changes, I don't care that it was an inheritance. The
Okay, so
household has goals.
I'm living in the world of hypotheticals here.
Okay.
100% hypotheticals. 100%. What if you're inheriting money from a parent who went through a bankruptcy, got their life back, like has this just like remarkable story that
Mhm.
is so meaningful. You know, I don't know. You can make up endless iterations of that. And to the person receiving it, it represents more than paying off a credit card balance or paying off a student loan. It represents like this somehow digital manifestation of a person's life's work. Like in that moment, like you kind of got to step aside. Now, if what Kristen, if what you're saying is neat, but then they're converting it into a Corvette. I'm like, well,
Right.
maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe she grows a mustache and gets a Corvette hat, like most Corvette drivers do. Like, you know?
Yeah, but I think where I go after that is that that's where logical fallacies and like heuristics come into play, where people
Google heuristics
anchor
now.
they anchor to, those specific stocks that mom held or that grandpa had. And Jason Brown in the live stream says that there's an emotional tie to inheritance that can't be ignored. And I do not disagree with that. And that's why we always recommend, we talked about it last week on the show, is like, if money comes to you by way of inheritance, you have to take a moment to pause because you have to be able to process the emotional weight of those decisions. But the financial plan that was already in place for your household should then just fall into place.
Yeah, you got back to a really good piece of advice there. I'm not saying the rest of it wasn't, but just the pause, like take 6 months, don't do anything. Now, I'll say if you agree and
Yeah.
and you agree on let's wipe out the credit card debt so we don't have 6 more months of interest, then go. If man, this is so nuanced, isn't it?
It really is.
But here's the other thing. And again, I'm somehow hypothetically making it about my life, but I'm not. None of this applies to me. Like I'm not in this situation. But like, my partner and I are pretty lockstep on this stuff,
Mhm.
right? Like after 24 years, we were pretty lockstep. So the chances of me going, or the chances of her saying, I want to buy a Corvette with this money, slim to none. Slim
Mhm.
to none. It would just go to the next dollar plan that we talked about. But there are newer relationships, a year in, dating,
Mhm.
not married and just cohabitating, where maybe this comes into more a play than two people been married since 2000.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that part at all. And I think really the takeaway here is that that's why it's so important to have these conversations before you're faced with these decisions, because then it doesn't have to feel like a yours, mine, and ours type situation. Because to your point, you're saying, hey, the missus and I are on the same page. So I don't even think this would be something we'd have to worry about. And that's where these conversations are so crucial, is that we have to have them before we're faced with the emotional weight of an inheritance.
You and I had a couple shows this week on various things. There was a point that one of us made during the show. Don't remember who because I don't
Meh.
remember anything. That I never really considered.
Oh,
And it was okay. So let's take a couple.
yeah.
One comes from a 2-parent household,
Mhm.
and the other one comes from a 4-parent household,
Mhm.
meaning their parents were married, they got divorced and then remarried, and then you experience that throughout your adolescence. Kristen, it never occurred to me until that was spoken. Did you
Mhm.
say that or did I say that?
I think I started to say that households can get complicated and it like kind of clicked and I hadn't fully thought of it either.
That's so much more complex. And I
Oh
say
yeah.
dangerous, not in like an alarmist way, but like alert,
Mm.
learning money socialization from 4 adults who then learned it from whatever number of adults they learned it from. And then you bring that into a relationship with someone. Inevitably, there's at least one, maybe two people within those 4 adults that influenced you the most,
Right.
but you still are picking up cues from those other 3 adults. And I was like, that is heavy. I wonder, I would love, I don't have the resources to do this. We could hook up with some university though, Kristen. Let's see if we can make this happen. What if we did a study of
Mhm.
people who come from 2-parent households and 4-parent households and study their behavior as it relates to finance and see if we can draw any conclusions there?
Can you imagine? I feel like the data would be fascinating.
I know. Can we do that?
I mean, ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com.
No, we could do that. I mean, we could act. I don't mean this is a good idea. Anyway, my mind is blown. We're gonna take a break. I gotta calm down. I'm gonna have some St. John's wort or something. Shh. We'll come back. We got the news and the biggest waste of money of the week, which I have not prepared. I'm Pete the Planner. Kristen, it just occurred to me that I have not gotten biggest waste of money of the week.
Oh, good. Um, Big Rick, that is a really great point because when you have one primary influence with money, it can sometimes be really positive and sometimes it can be like very negative. And so that's a really good point too is like when there's only one person you've learned from, this feels like your truth. And sometimes then when you are launched into adulthood and you realize, oh, maybe some of these money management techniques weren't the best, it can be even more difficult.
Kristen, we have enough relationships with academic institutions that we should be able to pull that off. Honestly,
I feel like it would be so interesting, especially if it was like the four-parent household was during like formative years of for the children.
um, maybe this is an interesting topic, but it's also again, it's a thesis more than anything. What do you think the most formative years are from an age range for kids?
Um, I would say there is nuance there, which is that sometimes kids are exposed to money conversations that maybe they shouldn't be, and that could change that. But I would probably say like middle school ish. How old are kids in middle school?
Theodore is a 7th grader and he is stone cold 12 and a half years old.
Yeah, I feel like it's that and then
Yeah.
into, like, when they're driving because they have more awareness of personal finance and, like, their surroundings, and they start to catch more. Yeah.
Yeah. Kristen, I cannot believe in all of the hustle and bustle for the first time ever, I did not come up with the biggest waste of money of the week. So I'm on a quick mission
Mhm.
to source one, and it's not going well.
Just, like, pull up your Amazon history or something. Surely there's something there.
Yeah, that's true. All right, the next thing I see, I'm gonna choose, and that's not it. Boy, this isn't going well. All right, Kristen, I'm doing this. I haven't even read it. I haven't even read it. You know what? Okay. I think, yeah, let's do this. I may have done this before. I'm not going to be able to show a picture.
Okay.
Okay. So you just got to take the description.
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Planner show is the Aged in Ore Bottle Flight. TSA compliant silicone wrapped bottles let you take your favorite spirits with you wherever you go. Before I go much further, Kristen, have I done this one before?
I wanna say there's been something similar, but I don't think this specifically.
Okay. Great bourbons, whiskeys, and other spirits are meant to be shared. The Aged in Ore Bottle Flight makes it easy to transport tasting-sized amounts of your favorites, whether it's across town or across the country. The set includes 4 custom silicone-wrapped wide-mouth bottles, each with a TSA-compliant max capacity of 3 ounces. One on one side, an opening in the silicone exposes the measurement markings, while the other side's opening exposes a labeling window, letting you keep track of what's what using the included glass marker. A protective carry case rounds out the set and can hold all 4 bottles or 2 bottles and 2 cigars. Kristen, how much does it cost to lug your booze along with you in tiny bottles because you got a hankering?
Well, also, isn't it against the law to drink alcohol not provided by the airline on a plane?
Oh,
Or did they just tell you you're not allowed to do that?
I'm a pretty big rule follower, generally speaking, as my wife likes to say. Are you a big rule follower on stuff like that?
All the rules.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of Dame, you and I, who's the most likely to not follow the rules?
That's so hard because we are all so boring.
That's the truth. If you've ever listened to the show, like, this is a fun show. It's
No.
not.
No.
It's a show that might be funny because there's 3 really boring people on it.
Yeah, like I feel like we're all sticklers for the rules.
What does this cost?
This costs $83.
Wow.
What?
It's 38. It's just inverted.
bummer.
Kristen, here's the problem with this.
Okay.
And there's a difference between good spirits and bad spirits if you happen to be a spirits person.
Okay.
It seems like, unless you got something super special going on, a little weird to have to take your booze with you on a flight.
Especially because I don't think you're allowed to drink it.
Well, I don't, to me, okay, so I interpret this as like, you're not taking it to drink it on the flight. You're taking it to drink it at wherever you're going. And I'm like,
But
just go to the queue while you're there and pick it up.
yeah, just buy it when you get there.
I don't know. Kristen, what's in the news this week?
U.S. consumer confidence hit a 6-month high. The decline in inflation and the expectation of an imminent interest rate cut have Americans feeling better about the economy than they have in a while. According to the latest update of the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index, on the other hand, consumers are worried about the softening labor market. While the unemployment rate remains below historical standards at 4.3%, it has increased for 4 straight months, likely enough to convince the Fed to cut rates in September.
I hear this and I understand it. Here's what confuses me.
Okay.
All of the fast food restaurants are currently at a race to the bottom to see what sort of value meals they can get out there because they just got out over their skis.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're freaking out because people have stopped buying Big Macs, which
Mm-hmm.
sounds oddly delicious for lunch today. No? So I think this is slightly confusing. How can consumer confidence be going up because interest rates are going to be coming down, yet people are spending less and less money because they think the economy is worse? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I really struggle with that too, especially because I feel like all people tell us is that life is too expensive. So I'm like, who are these people that we polled for the confidence index, you know?
I did see a study this week, and maybe hopefully it's not one of your news stories. I want to say Goldman Sachs, maybe another investment bank, that said there's concern about how quickly the stock market recovered from 2 weeks ago, and that it actually means we're more susceptible or just as susceptible for another crash. And I thought, okay, is that actually an informative statement? So Kristen, let me lay it out for you.
Okay.
Market went down 1,000 points.
Yep.
Recovered. I think it actually surpassed where it was. And so
Right.
within 2 weeks. So this person is saying, well, that's the problem because now it might do it again. Really? I never considered that the market goes up and down. like weird, right?
Yeah, and also, is it just a function of it's easier for people to buy and sell than it was 20 years ago? Like, that's what I struggle with is access to indices and to equities. Like, it's just so much easier. Of course, things are happening quicker. We're not in a T+3 world anymore.
I'm going to hit you with the thought here
Okay.
that you said, because people can trade easier. And if you
Yeah.
want to just dismiss it, we punt it and maybe talk about it another show or in between the breaks. How did people communicate prior to text messaging, email, social media, did you just not know as much about people going on in their lives? Like, I'll talk to my mom. She'll be like, oh, it's Beth's birthday. And I'm like, who's that? It's like, you don't know these things because they're not in front of you. Like 30 years ago, where people just like probably just enjoying their life because they're not worried that like Derek from their high school social studies test thinks so-and-so is a dummy, right?
Yeah. And we were probably all better off then, too.
Okay. Now, what else is in the news?
In perhaps the most anticipated sports memorabilia auction ever, the jersey worn by baseball legend Babe Ruth when he, quote, called his shot, unquote, in Game 3 of the 1932 World Series has sold for, do you want to guess? Game 3, World Series jersey.
I saw the story, but I don't remember the amount.
Naturally.
Right.
Obviously.
$5 million.
$24.12 million, with Heritage Auctions setting an auction record for the most expensive sports collectible. The sale of the New York Yankees Road Ruth jersey, which includes the standard 20% buyer's premium, was available to the public for the first time in 19 years. Do you want to guess one more thing about sports memorabilia?
Of course I do.
So what do you think the previous record was? It was a 1952 Mickey Mantle card in it was supposedly rare mint condition. It sold in 2022. It was the previous record for most expensive piece of sports memorabilia.
$7.5 million.
12.6 million.
Wow.
So nearly double. The Babe Ruth jersey went for nearly double.
I've had this conversation a few times this week about different topics. How much money do you have to have for that to be a good idea?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so I actually a friend with a financial advisor yesterday, had lunch. There's two possibilities there. Okay. There's one answer is, how much money do you have to have for that to be a good idea? The other is, how much money does the person have that they think that it's a good idea?
Yeah.
Right? You know, it's like there is the good idea, and then there's what someone thinks is a good idea, which is a much lesser amount. Like if you've got $100 million, let's say that purchase of 25% of your net worth, probably a bad idea.
Right.
But someone on their side will be like, well, my net worth is $50 million. It's half my net worth. And then they're thinking, well, what's it matter? I got another $25 million left, and I can always sell this thing. Like, that's where this thing gets super weird.
Yeah, it is. It's like, I just feel like maybe niche things like this should not encompass maybe like more than like 5% of your net worth.
Yeah, I was thinking 10 total, but the number can go up the more wealth you have.
That's true.
Right? Let's call it 10. I mean,
then
the person's worth $250 million. Do we know who? I said Bill, so people think I'm cool. I also didn't have to waste time saying Illian.
Wow.
All right, Kristen, we're done.
Oh, thank you.
Kristen, I enjoyed spending hours with you this week, digitally or virtually, I guess I should say. It was tremendous, and tens of people enjoyed it. Yep. I hope you have a good weekend, and I hope you enjoy the show you're watching on Netflix, which is consuming your life.
It is.
And making you lose sleep. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Enjoy your 3-day weekend. Everyone else, this is airing on the Pete the Planner Radio Network on a holiday weekend. So enjoy not laboring on Monday. Everybody else, stay good vibes or good vibes, whatever. This is Pete the Planner Show. I blew it.
Wrong exit.
Wrong exit. I almost said stay getting money, and oh Lord. What's the show? Big Rick Swink wants to know. What it called? Like Dark Gas? What is it?
Dark Winds.
Dark Winds.
I think I kept calling it Blackhawk the other day, which is a country band, and I kept getting scolded. I was told I could listen to them whenever I wanted, and I think the show is actually called Dark Winds. Let me see.
I was getting scolded in our office this week by the Youngs because I made a reference to Morgan Wallen.
Did you call Morgan Whalen?
I did, and I've done that to you on this show
all the time. Yeah,
but I don't care, right? He could call me Peter Dune for all I care. So you're watching that. Here's what I'm watching right now.
Okay,
I'm watching Industry on HBO Max. It is racy. It is very graphic. Very graphic.
Well, it's on HBO.
Yeah, but not everything on HBO. This is as graphic as it gets on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Good show. And the graphic stuff, whatever. It's about investment bankers in London who they're interns and they work for this investment bank, and it's like they're trying to make their careers and this or that. We're in season 1, and it's now in season 4 or 5, right?
Oh my.
It is graphic. So if you're a person listening to this program right now and you're like, I need something graphic in my life, Industry. If you're a person listening to the show right now, you're like, I don't want to watch graphic stuff. Do not watch Industry.
I'll watch it. Got it.
Kristen, I almost feel like I'm going to have to call our HR department for even bringing this up at work.
Maybe.
Holy Moses. My eyes were burning. It's so graphic that like our kids, they come up and down the stairs grabbing this or that. My son just eats like a monster. So he's like, I want a beef stick. And he comes down. It's like, shh. You have to be on the switch.
Pause it. Oh my
gosh. His retinas would burn.
Mm.
Anyway. Industry on HBO.
No, my.
Don't watch it.
I won't be.
Why are you watching that? Oh, my Pete told me to watch it. No, I didn't.
My boss told me.
Stop it. I'm not your boss. All right. Stay getting money.